Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. It's challenge time. Slow roll. If I remember correctly, Ludo, Dorito tears, and we're like the shot speed is very slow. Oh, it's not even Ludo. Maybe we got Ludo on our first attempt, or maybe I'm just misremembering. JD37LYPL. It's yet another moms only. Don't think we have too much to worry about here. I mean, our damage is 100. Our rate of fire is justifiably, like, extremely terrible. But everything else on this run is extraordinarily good. This doesn't strike me as one of the ones that could have been difficult. It strikes me as, if I'm being straight up with y'all, it strikes me as a, one of those challenges that ends up making up the first half of the video, and then the second half of the video is something else altogether. Well, another challenge. It's not like I'm gonna do half Isaac and then, by the way, you know, here's how I feel about climate change. That stuff takes place within the Isaac episode, and as a result, it doesn't need its own platform, because we've already got it covered. I am gonna be a little aggressive here. It's kind of weird, but I'm going to... It actually worked. To at least get something, but I'm gonna play that to get above 5 cents predominantly so that I have the ability to get an arcade on the next floor. Well, hold up, I got it. Could be an important message in this tab. Not an important message. It says, thank you for your Steam purchase. The email just came late. It's true. I occasionally purchase things on the online marketplace known as Steam. Might strike you as collusion. I mean, after all, we do both work in the same industry, Gabe and I don't call him Gabe, and I call him Gabe because I'm on a first-name basis, not a first name and first initial of the last name sort of basis, which I think is less familiar, but I've actually never met him in my life, which that part probably does not surprise you. I'll tell you what, we got 2 luck. Let's start gambling on this bad boy right here. Range up is fine. I don't care about our money because we don't have keys right now. We need keys to get into the shop to spend our money on anything productive in the first place. So I don't really care about picking up that other money over there until we have keys. I was kind of hoping to get Blood Bag. Just in general, it tends to be a smart idea to play... Oh my god. It tends to be a smart idea to play your blood banks. It's like eating your vegetables as a kid. So I'm hopeful that we can... get something to happen there, but honestly, if we don't, we're still pretty much one-tapping like every enemy that exists in the game. What was everyone's vegetable experience as a kid like? I'm being straight up with you. I did not eat enough of my vegetables as a kid. I'll own up to it. And I think in many ways, you know, some people, and I'll count myself amongst this group, when you get older, you kind of like rebel against your past self. I used to be an extremely picky eater, now I'll eat basically anything. I'll have opinions on it, as you can tell from watching the NLSS, but... Oh, that was so dumb. But I will eat essentially anything. I didn't used to like soup, too watery. Rice, it's just too many of a food to consume at once. Wonder if we can... No, there's no secret room there, obviously. Or there. Maybe we'll just look for a second secret room instead? And as a kid, I really only liked like 5 vegetables maximum. Potatoes, I know people are gonna say potatoes don't count. Potatoes count. It's not a starch, it's literally a vegetable. If I had to deal with people going, oh, well, you know, the tomato's technically a vegetable, then, or technically a fruit, I should say, then I'm gonna, you know, take credit where credit is due for at least eating potatoes. Plus, potatoes are bad for you. However, historically, they were great for you. I mean, in today's modern world, we have no... shortage of opportunities to, you know, places to get carbohydrates and vitamins from, right? But back in the day, at least, this is what my biology professor told me. One of my biology professors in college said that basically, like, a half tablespoon of butter and something like 6 or 7 potatoes a day in the medieval era gave you all the nutrition, like all 20 essential amino acids. You could survive on that for a long time as long as you ate the skin. You can fact check that. I didn't fact check it live. I just went, wow, this guy's got a job in the industry and I don't. So I believed him, but anyway, long story short. Potatoes, of course, they count. Corn, carrots, cucumbers, that actually might be it. I know you're gonna say, NL, you forgot lettuce. No. No lettuce. Not even on a sandwich or an hamburger. I would go to Subway. I'd get like a turkey sandwich. No cheese. I like cheese, but I opted out of the cheese on the sandwich. no ingredients, or no toppings except a little bit of mustard on top. That was like when I was 16, that was my order. There's no real reason to use Yara here. We might as well, again, there's no real reason to stand around either. We got nothing to gain. Now I'll eat basically anything, but I gotta admit I wonder sometimes. I'm not ashamed of it. On the internet, everybody's 6'2", right? I'm 5'10". Sometimes, you know, I can stretch it out a little bit. I'm not like 5'8", and then I just say I'm 5'10" to fudge numbers. I'm 5'10". Probably around the average for my age group, maybe a little younger because all these kids are, you know, drinking Soylent as they grow up now. But I wonder, you think I could have hit like 6 foot? Think I could have been a professional athlete if I ate more, why am I not using IV bag here? Think I could have been a professional athlete perhaps if I had consumed more vegetables as a kid? You gotta wonder to what extent that matters. I'm pretty sure if you look at like my caloric intake. By the way, I don't blame my parents for this, and I don't mean to make this whole episode about nutrition. I'm trying to make it funny. I ate so many snacks and drank so much fruit juice as a kid that I think my parents are from the era where their parents, they would wake up and be like, I don't like coffee, it's bad for you, so I'll just have like a Coke in the morning. So they're like, this is where we're coming from here. So I think we've come a long way in 3 generations is all I'm saying, but careful. You can get in there, that doesn't bother me. But, yeah, long story short, my kids are gonna eat vegetables. I'll eat any vegetable now. There's a few I don't like. I continue to try to like mushrooms. I just don't like them. One day, perhaps I will. There are some days and some kinds of mushrooms that I would never order them myself, but if they show up in the dish, I'm like, oh, these mushrooms are not just palatable, they're good. But for the most part, I'm not a mushroom boy, I gotta admit. Maybe one day. But, you know, lettuce, kale, give me some raw kale. Does not bother me. You know, they say that nutrition's an important part of child's upbringing. I grew up on, like, concentrated mango juice and tortilla chips, so... Honestly, I think I turned out relatively well, all things considered, but who knows? Maybe it's a good thing. You know, The Rock posted that video from Vancouver, and he said, you know, he played a preseason game with the Calgary Stampeders against the BC Lions. He was so excited to begin the first step of his career, and then 2 days later, he got cut. What a terrible story, right? And then he said it was the best thing that never happened to him in his life. Maybe having a poor diet as a child is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because as a result of that, I find myself doing YouTube videos instead of, you know, being like a third-string starter in the National Lacrosse League. Now look, it's clear I don't understand anything about lacrosse. If you're watching this and you're a professional or semi-professional or aspiring lacrosse player, I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying I'm okay with where I'm at in life, and who knows if maybe McCain's line of not quite sugar-free, unnatural fruit juices were the reason for that, you know? We'll never know unless we get some kind of Ashton Kutcher butterfly effect machine going on. But my kids are eating broccoli. I don't think you have to desensitize, or wait, it's the opposite. I don't think you have to sensitize your kids to eating, like, you know, vegetables to get them to like it, because the first time I gave broccoli a fair shake, as an adult, I was probably 19. And I ate it, and I was like, what do people talk? Well, broccoli's got a media problem. Everyone goes like, you know, George Bush Sr., I will not eat my broccoli. By the way, man's got a right. He's an adult. He can choose not to eat his broccoli if he wants. At the same time, what's this dog talking about? Broccoli, it's delicious. As long as it's not just boiled to smithereens, it's a wonderful food. I'm not even talking about, you know, beef broccoli or something like that. Either way. Some vegetables get a bad rap. I still think kale gets a bad rap. Kale's just like firm lettuce, in my mind. Admittedly, I'm from the West Coast, so just, you know, I'm opening myself up to all sorts of like, ooh, can I get a kale salad in a $1.8 million 200 square foot apartment, please? I'm from the West Coast. Sure, okay, you got me. God, I wish I was a true Canadian who lived somewhere not on the West Coast, so I could make smug jokes about everybody else. Something, Tim Hortons, backwoods, I don't know. We're getting uncomfortable here. And the point is, kale gets an unfair rap in the same way that, like, you know, soy milk and veganism stuff like that gets an unfair rap. People you might not like extol the virtues of kale, you find yourself not liking it by association. That's petty. You're becoming that what you hate in that situation. I encourage you to try some. That being said, I am a hypocrite, because I still don't really like cauliflower. I've learned how to pronounce it after many years on the internet, but I can't shake the specter of cauliflower just being white broccoli, and like, something about it, I'm just like, just give me the unbleached broccoli. I know that's not what it is. They're both in the brassica family, but it's just not, for me, it's broccoli but worse. Which maybe that's exactly how you feel about kale. It's lettuce but worse. But come on, dude. Get some vitamin K there. Rich, leafy, anyway. Point is. Vegetables. I don't know, dude. Probably something better left to a nutritionist to talk about. I think that's a fair assessment. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a nutrition nut. The Jay-Z lyric does not work there. I tried, but... not bad, just nonsensical. So if this is our 10th challenge, and I'm really just pulling a number out of my butt, but I think it's around there, I would put us about halfway, and we haven't completed them all. We failed on 3 of them, I think. That would put us about halfway through the rebirth challenges, which is nice. You know, we might, at some point, take a break from the challenges to do some more normal runs. Keep in mind, we got to do 31 dailies at some point as well. We could just load those up in the background and, like, turn them off as soon as we start them. Not really something I'm interested in doing. I'd rather do them all on camera if I'm gonna, you know, cheese it. Again, I'm taking a very, Dormammu-ish approach to this. Like, I'm not concerned about the amount of time it takes us to get to 1,000,000%. 1,000,001, even. If it takes us 2 years, it takes us 2 years. You know, these Isaac episodes are... the Isaac episodes at this point have become like a, I don't know what else to record. Let's record a bunch of Isaac. You know, take a day, revisit an old friend. There's certainly the games that allow me to go most on the tangents, for which I think, you know, my commentary is most well suited to. A lot of people still enjoy watching them. So if you enjoy watching them, I enjoy making them, dude. It's kind of my slice of life. I also think, like, Isaac... provides a very important outlook for me, or outlet, I should say, for me in my life right now. And that outlet is appearing to be good at a video game. I'm not even being sarcastic, but... And allowing an opportunity to be myself, or at least a slightly less exaggerated version of myself. Because on the NLSS, I'm always like, you know, oh, hey, Nick, do you put the cheese on the top of the sandwich and then the bread, or do you put it below the meat and then, you know, put the meat on top of the cheese and then, oh, that's crazy! What are you, a moron or something? So, yeah, I recognize, you know, I'm playing a little bit of a character there. And, I mean, I'm just gonna pop Alges, or sorry, Emperor, to be honest with you, because we're about to win. It's not exhausting. That's, like, my favorite content to make. I love the collaborative stuff and the tangents we can get into with the personalities playing off of one another on the NLSS, but it's also nice to just be laid back and, you know, consider multiple viewpoints without the pressure of having to, you know, fit that mold, I suppose. And Isaac does a good job of that. Plus, as compared to Kerbal Space Program, I, like, actually know what I'm doing. So, it's a nice opportunity for me to actually feel like I'm good at video games. We don't need to do boss rush, that's apparent. At some point we might choose to do boss rush for fun, but those are not that's not the right opportunity to do that. Hey, Tomo. Oh, my Tomo buddy. You're like Pavlovian conditioned here, and it's annoying, but also very sweet. Let me move some mugs out of the way so you can come on up. This cat used to come in here, sleep in his box. He loved life. Now he comes in here and just meows and meows and meows until I pet him, and he never gets over it. That was 15, actually. Computer savvy is also extremely easy, I believe. I don't know why I said savvy so weird. This is like the all technology run. Plus homing tiers, so we're like extraordinarily strong. And this one also only goes to Mom's Foot, so we're like sitting unbelievably pretty right now. Some spirit hearts. Yeah, let's mix it up, you know? Take Curse of the Tower. Why not? Now, of course, I made fun of my Tomo buddy, my pride and joy. And now he's just hanging out. He's just sleeping in his box. First off, don't ever make me look like an idiot again, okay, Tomo? That's undeserved and uncalled for. Secondly, who's a good Tomo buddy? He's looking at me. He knows he's the good Tomo buddy. I bring up the height thing, not because I'm like paranoid about it, but height is like a weird thing on the internet. I think I just missed it. I always see people on Twitter, they're calling other people like manlets. And they're like, oh, you know, oh, look at this guy, he's like a 5'11" manlet. And I'm like, what is everybody online like Leif Erikson or something like that? They're all like 7'4", like, but from an evolution standpoint, one of the very few things I'm even marginally qualified to talk about. It's really that and then like overloading operators in C++. That is the only stuff in my wheelhouse. But anyway, evolutionarily, we haven't evolved in the past, like, 300 years to get that much taller. Just doesn't work on that speed. Due to the fact that human beings largely aren't reproducing like once every 20 minutes like bacteria. But anyway, some of us, some of us are, some of us aren't. Empress, world card's worth it. And we'll take Empress with us as well. We should have just used bombs to get into the secret room, but again, this one's super easy. So it must be like, and I'm again not a scientist, but it must be diet-based. Your grandma, she's 4'11" or something like that, right? You grow to be 6'4". You think you ain't got your grandma's genes in there? Statistically, you're like 12.5% grandma, not to weird you out. Or maybe 25% grandma. It's been a while since I did the Gregor Mendel, Punnett squares. Anyway, the point is, we've been eating some good stuff lately, man. You got, imagine, like, some days, I don't know if you guys get this, but some days if I've been eating, like, maybe a little bit too much fast food, when this happens a lot is at PAX. I get the feeling of being, like, not just hungry, but, like, malnourished. I know you're gonna say, NL, it's a hangover. No, I'm aware, I've been through college, I know what a hangover is. This is, like, 4 days of not treating your body too well. You just get this weird, like, subtle craving for vitamins. Like, you're like, I'll have 3 glasses of water, and can you bring out, like, a salad and a can of beans? And then that's, like, all I want right now. And, like, 2 multivitamins. Anyway. So, that happens, has, like, no consequence long term. Imagine being so, not even malnourished necessarily, because that's probably a loaded term, but imagine having, like, the kind of nutrition that was actually like, oh, your genes were like, you could get to like 6 feet, but because, you grew up in the Dust Bowl, you're eating like, a head of lettuce, a handful of salt, and a pot of soup, and that's called like lettuce bisque or something like that. It cuts like 8 inches off your height. That's what we gotta remember, dude. Like, we live in interesting times. I don't think there's like any question about that, and that's meant as like a little bit of a, I'm not going to say a backhanded compliment, because it's really meant as an insult. But anyway, we live in interesting times, but on an individual level, most of us have still got it pretty good, I guess. Because they didn't even know either. Back there like, oh, thank God I got to, eat 6 potatoes and a pat of butter today. I get all 20 essential amino acids. 50 years later, you're like, oh, that explains why I'm, 5 foot tall, soaking wet. That's not how you use that expression. But anyway, it's interesting is all I'm saying, how environmental factors play into physiology like that. Freaks me out too, because I'm old enough to not be part of the young generation. Daniel just sent me a message on Steam and said stadium status. He's right. But I'm old enough to not be part of the younger generation, the up-and-comers. I wouldn't doubt that for a second. I'm not trying to say, like, At 28, I'm a young man. And you might say, well, my grandma calls me young man and I'm 16. She's making fun of you. She's going, oh, you're such a handsome young man. She's being patronizing. You're still a child. Not in, like, an offensive way. I'm just saying, enjoy your youth while it lasts. I am a man who is young. Very subtle difference. But the younger generation, sometimes I go outside, it's like the average 13-year-old child is like my height or taller. It's very disconcerting. I feel like I feel like that, like, jerk senator from the X-Men movie who's like, You know, he sees one mutant shoot lightning bolts out of his hands, and then he goes, well, we can't have that. I can't shoot lightning bolts out of my hands. And then Magneto puts him in the weird machine, and he gets turned into a melt man. You know, we've all been there. Dude, really? The Gupster? Thank you. Well, this is like an extremely easy run then. I should not have popped that right there, but... Alright. But you know what? More power to you. Because I went to college still under the illusion that there were jobs waiting for me and my cohorts when we left. If you're going to college now at the age of 17, like, you just got the knowledge that it's all sort of messed up and you're fighting for yourself, right? We had the, and this is, I'm saying this was a positive of our generation. We had the illusion. We still had the like, oh, well, you know, hey, nice major, Leo Tolstoy, enjoy working at Starbucks. But now, I think it's kind of shifted, and they're like, whoa, dude, you got a job at Starbucks? Work there until you die, because we don't know what's up right now. Plus, they give you benefits. So, like, ride that train as long as you can. We're in this together, right? Every generation's got their own thing, I suppose. Mostly, I don't know. Maybe my generation hasn't even had its thing yet. That's the thing. What was the thing for my parents' generation? I don't know. You're probably going to say the 1960s, you know, psychedelic era. Screw you, I'm not that old. You think my parents were born in, like, 1940s? They were hippies in the summer of love? Nah, son. They're relatively spry. Early 50s. Represent. Might pass them one day. That's actually... I didn't think about the implications of that. I didn't think about the implications of diving in too deep. Possibly the complicated. That's, I mean, it's just overkill by Men at Work. That's the thing. We don't know, dude. I hope I'm not here talking about, like, oh, yeah, you know, the employment crisis is the biggest thing to face my generation. And then, like, in 8 years from now, you know, Elon Musk is leading humanity in a cyber war against, you know, sentient machines or something like that. I'm going to look back on these comments and be like, whoa, that was silly. Can't believe we were worried about, you know, stagnating wages when, you know, 20 years later we're living in the sewers like mole rats trying to fight back against T-1000s. Who knows, dude? Oh! I mean, we're crushing it right now. It's not like we... Look, I'm not even gonna go pick up 3 cents on this challenge. Look at this. This run is, like, beyond set. Now, you can accuse me of rushing it a little bit here, but we're about to have finished 2 challenges over the course of 22 minutes. Well, probably like 24 by the time we finish, so... I don't think we've really rushed too much. We've just gotten probably the easiest challenge in the game, then, like, an unbelievably strong version of Computer Savvy, which is already really strong in its own right, so... But yeah, who knows, dude? Basically, that's my philosophy on things, is who knows. Are things that bad? I don't know. Maybe. I'm kind of in a position where I can't tell. Because for me, I'm like, how bad could it be? There's... Netflix is unlimited entertainment for $12. And then people on Twitter are like, we're dying out here. And I'm like, okay, but like, do you have to complain about it so much? I'm not actually saying that, but it fits the joke archetype, so I'm gonna say it anyway. So yeah, like maybe, I don't know. It's possible. Anything's possible, and then beyond that, impossible is nothing. That's the Adidas slogan. Can I ask you a question? From one millennial to another, series of millennials. Is it Adidas or Adidas? Because I have said Adidas my whole life. We said it on the show once and everyone laughed at me. In Brazil, perhaps it's pronounced Adidas. I don't know. Feel free to illuminate this for me. I would be eager to find out. In the interim period, though, because there's like the backlog on Isaac episodes is actually like shameful. It makes me want to die. We're gonna pick this up. We've already killed Mom. Some of this stuff is good, but there's like no reason whatsoever to go for it. Alright, I'll do it. We'll lead us to kings. We'll really lead us to kings. But, I mean, I want you to know I'm doing this. This is me punching the clock, basically, because Like, this run is beyond out of control good, and we also just won. So we really, the only thing we can do by going on this run any longer than we already have is ruin it. That being said, it's going to be an easy finish either way, and dude, we only get to do these challenges once. We should enjoy the, you know, the novelty of it while it lasts, I think. If you could just, like, somehow provide for me a better series of items, that would be lovely. I don't know how you would ever do that at this stage of the game, but that's okay. You know, the most uncertain thing about today's world, man, is, like, what's going to be the next hot roguelite? I guess it's Dead Cells. Now, you're going to say, like, whoa, your backlog is long. No, I haven't played Dead Cells in, like, 2 months, but it did take the world by storm for a while. But, dude, I got to admit, you know, I'm happy for... I've said this so many times, and it's really genuine. I'm happy for Ed that he's working on other stuff, but there is also, like, a certain lingering... I wouldn't say emptiness, but, like... I'm kind of like, when's the next... Is the roguelite boon over? Because I still love the genre. The reason I love the genre is because it's so accessible. And I think that's really the easiest way to describe it. I love that you can play a roguelite for 9 hours and get a lot of emergent, if it's good at least, you get a lot of emergent gameplay stories out of it, versus playing one game that has the story programmed in for it in 9 hours. You know, if you're playing like a medium-length indie RPG or something like that. They both have their place. You know, there's been so many great games this year that I've enjoyed playing that are more narrative-focused, like West of Loathing and Pyre, etc., etc. I'm kind of hoping the roguelites are here to stay. You know, the reality of the situation, though, is that the genre, or the industry does go through valleys and peaks. You know, crafting games were enormous for a while. Still have an impact, of course. For a while, every AAA game was a first-person shooter. At least it felt like from, like, 2008 to 2013, every AAA game was a first-person shooter, or it was Assassin's Creed. Those were the only options that we had. And then definitely for a couple years in the indie game, it definitely seemed like it was just roguelites nonstop, to the point that people were starting to make fun of them, and I understand why. But hopefully it still has enough influence to stick around, because it's a mechanic I like. Doesn't fit every game. Oftentimes, you know, you can use roguelite as a bit of a shorthand for lazy design, but when it works, dude. You can't deny it. And thank God Isaac was built like that. So we get RoboBaby 2.0. Wow, that was like not worth our time, but it's done. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with probably 2 more challenges, statistically speaking.